Do you think I could shoot that red cap off that head with my air pistol? Let's find out. Now I'll shoot a coin off its head.
A coin.
So, how did I do that? Have a look at my model. You've got a bit of a hole in her head. In this box here, it was sitting down there. I have a camera flash, quite an old one. Little electric solenoid. And a sound activated flash trigger. It's quite a bulky setup at the moment, that sound activated flash trigger. But it's functional. This solenoid here, I got 3 of them on Amazon for about $15, and I pushed it into that head, ran the wires down the back, put the cap there, and the solenoid is going in series with my camera flash. So when my camera flash fires, the solenoid activates. It's ready now. Test fire. I had the flash covered with paper so that you wouldn't see it in the picture. The air pistol was empty, but just made a noise. They say it's not good to do that, to fire them when they're empty, but I need it for my experiments. And I'll just show you how this flash system is wired up. Inside the flash, we have a capacitor. The one in this one is about 250 volts. We've got a flash tube that's always connected to the capacitor. So a lot of people don't realize that tube always has power connected to it. So I'm not just going to show you how to do this, just in case someone gets electrocuted, because it's very dangerous to play around with that. But what I did is I opened up the flash head and I cut the one wire off the one side and then soldered a new wire onto that end and a new wire onto this end. So now we've got the arrows showing the flow of electricity when the flash tube fires, and it's also going through that solenoid when it discharges the capacitor, and it all happens at a very high speed. So even though this here is a 24 volt solenoid, we've got 250 volts here. You need an oscilloscope to measure the actual voltage going through there, because you get a voltage drop through here and a voltage drop through here when it fires, and they're sharing the voltage. But it happens so fast, it's impossible for it to burn out that 24 volt solenoid. It's just a fraction of a second, probably 1/5000th of a second when that flash fires. Quarter of the way along a flash tube, we've got a trigger. Now that goes inside the flash, and in my situation, that flash trigger is hooked up to the sound activated flash trigger. There's a little microphone on it, hooked up to a battery. You can get much more civilized variations of it, but this one's homemade. I bought a voice activated switch from a local electronics shop, and I just modified it to trigger my camera flash. With the camera flash, I couldn't get it to trigger properly because I didn't have the right shoe connection for it. So I cut the wires open. There are about 5 wires in there. Now the flash fires generally when that middle pin gets connected to the earth pin on the side. So if you go to the bottom of a flash and you join those two together, it will trigger the flash. the wires, 5 wires coming out of there, I just took them one at a time and touched them together until it fired the flash. And it was a yellow one and a black one, and I basically took them into my sound activated switch so that when there's sound, it joins those 2 wires together, triggers the flash tube, dumps the capacitor, and it goes through the solenoid, and the solenoid activates and knocks off whatever I have on top of it. That's the basic operating principle. As I say, you've got to be very careful when you're playing around with it. I'll just show you this little solenoid. As I say, 3 of them for about $15. Turn my flash on. This particular flash has 5 power settings. That was at the lowest power setting. So I can trigger it to shoot a lot higher into the air, or if there's a heavier object on top of the head, I can just use the higher power and flick that off. But realistically, the only limitations are your imagination. What can you do with it? This clicks like that when it fires, so you could actually hook it to something to pull something off. So you could just have a thin little string going down off something and make it flip off when that triggers. So there are a lot of prospects for this little invention. I'll just show you some of the things, some of the power settings. It's on now, it's on its lowest power setting, and I'll hit this lid. I'll go take it to its highest power setting, and it all depends on what flash you get, what kind of settings you're going to get. A little bit harder, a little bit more power. Most of the time I'm probably going to keep it lower down there, but it's interesting when you're going to do a video shoot, you don't have to use special effects or anything like that. You don't have to use bullets. You can just take this, make sure it's empty, and we connect up the flash trigger. Just hook it up to the battery there. And there you have your flash, and you can use the flash to activate all sorts of things for special effects in your videos. Hope you've enjoyed this video.